Welcome everybody again. Now I've got something really special tonight for us. A little bit ad hoc. Gareth's having a few technical issues, which is why he's not actually joining us at the moment. But we've got something really special tonight. Been trying to get this chap on for a while. Quite ad hoc. He's a busy chap. We've managed to drag him in for a quick chat tonight, so I'm really looking forward to this. Actually, I'm going to get him in now and let everybody know who it is. We've got David Sapolis joining us tonight. Now, David, first things first, thanks for joining us, man.
Oh,
Um,
no, not a
it's
problem. Not a
it's
problem at
been
all.
it's been. I know you're a really busy chap. Obviously, you've got a lot of stuff going on. We can get into that in a little bit, of course. But for everybody out there, I mean, obviously, I'm UK based. You're obviously stateside. There's probably a lot of people in the UK that haven't got a clue who you are. No, that's not
There's a
in a
lot of
bad way.
people everywhere that don't have a clue who I am.
That's
My cat doesn't even know who I am.
it's not in a bad way, by the way. That isn't. But for those of you who don't know, David. Well, in all honesty, I didn't really know who you were until about 6 months ago, um, and I did a bit of research. I wanted to improve my game, as a lot of people do out there. I was looking out. So I'm interested in the mental side of the game more than anything because that's what I think where I can benefit the most. So I was doing the digging around on the YouTube, looking at lots of different pieces, came across your video. Your game is a lousy pool player on YouTube. And anybody who wants to look at David's stuff, just go on YouTube, search David Sapolis. You'll find a lot of his content. So I watched this video, and to be honest, I thought, wow, this is pretty good stuff. And I wanted more of it, and I thought, wow, this is great. So I actually reached out to him on, I think it was Facebook. I caught up with you, I think, and
I believe
I
so.
said to you,
Yeah.
yeah, I said, do you do anything else? Do you do any private content lessons or anything? Because I was interested in getting some. And you being the great guy you are, you just says, nah, I don't do it anymore, but I'll just do it for free. I was like,
Yeah.
what? I'm ready to give you something here. And well, so off the back of that, we had a little chat on Facebook that night, I think it was, and we were talking for about 2 hours. I think I remember it was
Yeah.
quite a long
Yeah.
time.
We talked for quite a while.
It was great. And so I'm really really happy to get you on tonight. And I know there's a lot of players I play with who do know of you as well because I mentioned it to them a few times in the club. I said, look, if you're interested in working on your mental game, have a chat. Well, have a look on YouTube, check out David's video, and a few of them did already know you actually, and some of them read a lot of your stuff as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's where a
that's
lot of people know me from. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, no, it's brilliant. So, yeah, once again, thanks for coming on. But obviously, I just want to get into a bit of your background with everyone because I'm still not 100% up to speed with everything. But obviously, whereabouts? How did you get started in pool? Because I know you've been around quite a long time on the game.
I've been around pool since I'm a kid, actually. I started here in the States. We have the boys' clubs and girls' clubs of America. That's where I learned how to play. I would go there after school every day. And after I was done doing my homework, I was allowed to go play on the pool tables, play table tennis, and all those other games. But I really had a knack for that pool thing, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's where I first started to learn, and I've been playing ever since. Probably since I'm about 8 years old, 9 years old.
Yeah.
So,
Did you have a
uh,
racket cue, or did you have your own cue back then, or did you just have to grab one off the rack?
not at first. The very first cue I had wasn't anything to write home about, but back then, no, I didn't have my own cue until I was about 13, 14.
Oh, right.
And yeah, but I had a friend that sold me an old Southwest. I would kill to have it today.
They're pretty well. They
But
hold the value. I think
oh
them
yeah,
cues do proper. If you got one of them, keep hold of it.
oh yeah, yeah. But I kept with it, and I played in my first pro tournament. I was 16 years old. I was at a tournament, and they were looking for people to fill up the brackets, and I was there. It's not like I qualified for it or anything like that. Um, and yeah, I was 16 years old, and I played my first pro level tournament. Did better than I thought I would. I won a couple of games in each match, against players that were 100 times better than I was.
Yeah.
And I stuck at it, and I played professional pool from then all the way up till probably '94 was kind of I played full time in 92, 93, and 94.
So was
Towards
that
the
full time being just pool, no other jobs or
Oh yeah,
anything,
yeah.
just
That's all I
constant?
did. That's all I did was
Sounds
play
like a good
pool.
job to me.
Yeah. Well, I opened a pool hall, and that helped to pay for some of my expenses. Um, but yeah, it's a great. It was a good learning experience to be out there. I tried it back in 87, 88, 89, and then I was in the military at the time, and I ended up going over to Europe. So that kind of dashed all that and kind of put all my plans on hold.
Whereabouts in Europe did you go to?
I was in Germany. I was in right outside. I was in Schwabach, Germany, right outside of Nuremberg. It's in between Nuremberg and Ansbach.
Yeah.
I was in that area,
Ah,
and I was over there at the same time that I mean they had. I remember that somebody told me when I was going over there, and as a Hall of Famer told me this, your game's going to drop 2 balls once you get off the plane, right? So I get over there, and they've got guys like Francisco Bustamante. He was unknown at the time, but he was there. Ralph Souque, who's still a very good friend of
yeah,
mine.
yeah. He's doing well as
Ralph
well at the
Eckert.
moment, isn't he, Ralph? He's playing really well at the moment.
Oh, he's playing phenomenal for an old man. You can tell him I said that.
Giving me
But-
encouragement to keep going until I'm that sort of age, I think. But no, he's doing well.
yeah, but it was a learning experience. And when I came back, I felt my game had gotten stronger, and I had a better chance out there in the pro tour, and I did. Just the money wasn't there. I had 2 kids and a mortgage.
Yeah.
So I got a real job. Became a police officer. Kept the pool hall.
Life takes over, unfortunately. I mean,
Life takes over, and I wasn't up here when it comes to pro pool. I wasn't up here. I didn't compete in the top 10, at the top level. I played everybody.
What ball you played back then in the day? Was it 9-ball or was it straight pool or something?
It was a little bit of everything. The main money, the cash cow for American pool back then was 9-ball. Okay, but there were events for 1 pocket. There were events for straight pool. They were few and far between, but they were out there. But it wasn't enough. You know, your expenses far outweighed anything you could make out there in winnings. And when I saw
like
that,
UK to me, that does.
Oh yeah, well it's everywhere. And you know, I was at the ripe old age of 28. I decided to kind of hang it up, and decided to come back around 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008. I played. I was living in Florida, played on the Florida tour, Tommy Kennedy's tour. Tony Crosby had a tour at that.
He was UK based as well, Andy Crosby.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, one of Gareth's
good friend of mine.
Yeah, Gareth knows
Nice
Tony
guy.
well. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
he's a nice
remember
guy.
him. I think when I started playing on the tours over here, I can't remember when it was. I think it was probably 2001, 2 maybe. I think, and I think Anthony Crosby did play on some of the tours around here. It was the old Pro 9 tour with Doug Gordon and yeah. I think he played on that. I don't think he played any BPPA because he'd moved over to America, didn't he? And I think
Yeah.
I think he got involved. Did he do something with the diamond tables? I think still, or he used to.
Yeah, he I believe he's got a table where he moves and he sells, he moves.
That's it. I think he sells, doesn't he?
Does tables and stuff like that. I haven't talked to him in a long time, but he's good people. Him and his wife Natalie are really, really good people. And staples at any tournament in Florida back when I was there, and just an all-around a great player and a great person as well.
I mean, just going back when you're saying you rejoined playing, I think 2005, I think it was 6 or something. What you're saying there, that's quite a break that you must have had then between hitting it hard as you were doing, and then right, that's it. I've had enough. I mean, when you decided to have enough for a while, was it like you say, life just takes over and you're just too busy with everything else, or was there something else? Or
it's a combination of things. Anybody that's out there, and I got to watch how I say this because I once said this to Aloysius Yap. Sent me a message when he was like 15 years old, saying he wanted to be a professional pool player, and I told Yap to stay in school.
Oh dear. Well, he's doing great at the moment as well.
Oh yeah. So I'm going to watch how I word this. It's very hard to make it out there. It really is.
Oh
And
yeah,
like I said, I had 2 kids, a mortgage. They need kids. They need clothes. They need health care. They need food, roof over their head. So yeah, life does take over. And pool's a game. There's one thing I try to teach my students is, at the end of the day, what really should matter to you more than anything, okay, isn't pool. It should be family and all the things that you can enjoy when
hey,
you're not at the
you can
pool
have my
table.
wife running in a minute. She'll be loving all that.
Yeah,
I mean, I never say
yeah.
anything like that,
But
but
it's really true. It's really
yeah,
true.
yeah,
I had Parkinson's disease, and it took my ability to play the game away a couple of years ago, and I can't stand in my stance anymore, or I'll lose my balance.
yeah,
And my hands shake, my legs shake, and it's just it was time for me to stop. And I've discussed this with you privately. It's
yeah,
really
yeah,
hard to find ways to fill the gaps in your life when pool was, for so long, it was everything.
yeah.
But I had always been a writer. I had always been interested in teaching other people some of the stuff that I had learned when I was trying to become one of the best players in the world. And I was kind of surprised when I first started writing about pool. There was nothing out there, especially on the mental game.
Yeah.
And you know, and I at first, just like anybody else that's starting out, I want to write about everything. And I kind of found that my niche was straight pool, okay, which is 14-1,
Well, I noticed
continuous.
you on your videos. I mean, you made there's a lot of that about you getting the runs
Yeah,
that you wanted, a couple 100 ball runs and thing. Even 100 ball run.
there's,
It's quite a significant milestone for straight
oh
pool.
yeah,
It
oh yeah,
takes a little bit of doing. I mean, I get bored when I'm playing straight pool. I'll run a few
a
racks,
lot of people
and I'm
do.
setting up the third or fourth rack to go at it again, and I can't seem to concentrate sometimes.
It's
But
it's a concentration game.
yeah,
And the mental game thing, I I was a basket case when I was younger. And if I didn't win, man, I had one speed when I lost the match, and that was angry. And that was it. I was pissed off. And I just, I found different things over the years to deal with that and try to find out what was underneath all that. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
And those are the things when people read the stuff that I write. I was infamous for, after a tournament, after losing a match, even after winning a match, sitting down and writing my thoughts. And that's where all my random thoughts come from. I've got in the other room back here, I've got 30 years of spiral notebooks just filled with all the junk that's up in
People
here.
don't realize. I mean, writing things down like that, no one ever really does it. But once you
It's
do start doing
therapeutic.
it, it's therapeutic and it helps. And it's also something good to come. Like now, you're going back to a lot of this thing that you write. And notice you put them up on your Facebook posts regularly, and I really like reading them because
Yeah.
the words of wisdom, I think, and
There,
they're
it's a pool
great.
player talking to himself. That's basically what you're reading. It's a
Yeah.
pool player talking to himself.
No, some of them I love. Some of them, my favorite. Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite sayings that you always come out with. I can't remember where I've seen it, but you're at one of your only jobs. At a tournament, you got to turn up, pocket balls, and what was the last one?
I'll give it to you
Oh, well,
verbatim. Okay,
disappoint
this is your
people.
job.
Yeah,
Okay, your job as a
disappoint
pool
people.
player. Okay, is to win games. Okay, pocket balls, win games. Okay, win matches, and disappoint people.
Yeah,
That's your job.
and
Send them
secretly,
home disappointed.
we all disappoint people, don't we, when we
Now,
win a
if
match?
if
Usually,
you're the one going home disappointed, okay, that means you got a lesson handed to you.
could be. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
and you got to
I'll have
find
all
what
that.
that lesson is.
Yeah,
Got to find
yeah.
out what that lesson is.
And
And if you're
there's
not the best
always,
player in the world, even if you're not the best player in your pool hall, okay, that's all
yeah,
right. It's okay. You're
yeah.
part of somebody else's journey.
Yeah,
Okay,
there's
you
always
could, and
lessons.
that's all right.
Yeah. What's the biggest lesson you've ever learned off a game? Ever? Do you
Off
think?
the game, that it's just a game. It's just a game.
Yeah. Just some balls on a table.
It's balls on the table. Okay. I'm sorry, but the balls are they're loyal to nobody. Okay. And sometimes they're going to cooperate with you. The balls, the table, and the pockets. And sometimes they're not going to cooperate. They're going to be your mortal enemy. And you're going to have to just accept it as it comes on. You know, none of us. I mean, when I look at the best I've ever played the game, okay, even back then, I couldn't sustain that for more than just a match or two, okay. And it doesn't matter what game you play, if it's snooker, if it's 8-ball, 9-ball, or whatever. You're going to have times where your best game just isn't going to be there for you. Okay.
Yeah.
And you have to try to find a way. Something has to be inside of you, okay, that tries to get it back up. Okay. Right now I see everything that Darren's going through. Okay. And he's trying to, and I think he's doing fantastic. I really do. But I guarantee you he's his harshest critic, and he's working hard and getting down on the table and doing everything that he possibly can to get himself all the way back to the top. And I think that's a trait that separates guys like Darren Appleton from guys that are just playing in leagues and that will never get past that. Okay.
Yeah.
He's just born with something else. Okay. Shane Van Boning's the same way. I don't think I've ever seen anybody play as much pool as Shane Van Boning.
Yeah.
I mean, he literally lives, eats, breathes this game. So.
And he still finds time for fishing here and there as well.
Oh, because he knows when he's had enough of it. I think that's a key as
Maybe
well.
that's the secret. You know, you got to do some fishing on the side, get your mind zenned out, ready to play at the pool again. I don't know, but I mean, Saki, I love the mental game of you know, of the game. Whatever it's snooker, pool, English pool, whatever. I play all three myself, and maybe I'm a bit naive, but for me, I'm happy with my game physically and the way I play, and I think I'm probably playing as good as I've ever played. Not far off, you know. I'm happy, and I think as I've got older, I've learned to sort of accept what you were saying. Whereas it's just a game; things are going to happen. Even if you're on top of your game, things can still happen that don't mean you're going to be able to win that game, or you get a bad roll, or you get something else. And I know it's frustrating, and we all get frustrated with that. But as I've got older, I've learned to just accept it a little bit more and respect the opponent a bit. You know, there's two of you at the table. You're only at the table once at a time. You know, when you're at the table, you're at the table. Your opponent's not playing your shot. You know, it's like you play a bad positional shot. You know, well, at the end of the day, you know, you've played that shot and you've put that ball there. Really, yes, the table might have off a little bit or here and there, but at the end of the day, you've played that shot. But
if you haven't been beaten in a match, okay, without ever getting out of the chair, two things: you're playing the wrong people, okay. You haven't been playing long enough. I've had it happen to me from three different players have done that to me. You know, where I talk about one in my 9-ball book about Ismail Paez. I got up, he ran 4 racks on me, played safe. I got up, miscued, and he went and ran the set out. You know, what did I do? I lost the lag,
but you had a shot.
One shot I had.
You had a shot though. You still had a shot.
Danny Medina had me on a bar table. Beat me 2 sets, 7-zip, 7-zip.
What's flat like without you even having a shot?
He'd still be shooting if the match didn't end. I mean, seriously. I mean, he wasn't going to miss. And it was the most incredible thing that I ever saw. And I sat there smiling the whole time because it was beautiful to watch.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to accept the fact that, you know, that thing can happen. I mean, it doesn't probably happen very often.
And remember this, anybody that's listening to this, okay? Sometimes people's games are going to jump to that next level when they're playing you. And the best thing you do is go up there, shake their hand, and let them know that you noticed it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because when it happens to you, and your day's coming for that as well, you're going to want somebody to notice it. You're going to want them to shake your hand and be happy for you. And I think that's the key to becoming a great player. I mean, look at Efren. Efren's one of these guys that everybody talks about his humility.
He's very
How
humble, and
humble
even
he
in
is.
defeat, isn't he? Yeah.
And I only played him twice. And one of the first time I played him was the only time that my father ever saw me play a professional match. And I lost. I lost 11-6. But I had one break and run, and I got ball in hand. Okay. I hid the cue ball behind the 3 ball, and he couldn't get to it. And he handed me the cue ball, scratching his head like a monkey. And yeah, I
And
could
what
put
did you
that
do
on my
after that?
epitaph.
Did you
Yeah, I
clear
got
up though
ball in
after?
hand from Efren.
Did you run
And
out though?
after the match, my father, he's like, "What are you so excited?" This is back in '93. "What are you so excited about? That guy just ran over you." I said, "I got ball in hand."
That was like winning the match in its own right.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Got a ball in hand on
It's
Efren Reyes.
you,
Yeah,
you got to know where your victories are.
yeah. I mean, it's nice when you do play well and you win a match, or someone else is watching. Oh, and they do say, "Oh, well played." You played well.
Oh yeah,
It is nice, and I think American pool is good like that in the UK. There are plenty of players out there that will give you recognition or respect or appreciate you when you're playing well. And you don't get it in so many of the other games that I've noticed over the years. But American pool's always been quite good in the UK like that. Everybody's accepted, even on the tour events. If you want some help, or you've got a question, or you're not sure, or you want some advice, and you ask one of the higher players, they're
oh
more
yeah.
than willing to. And it's just how it's always been, and it's good.
It was never
Um,
like that here.
oh,
It
wasn't
was
it? Was
never like
everyone
that.
just keeping the cards to the chest?
Oh, it was pretty bad. There's you got to realize I grew up in a different world. There was no internet. There was no YouTube. There was no books really. The only books that existed were actually written by ghostwriters, uh, people uh, that might have talked to Moscone and then kind of put it in their
Yeah,
terms and in writing, and it just doesn't come across to the same as if, say, if Shane Van Boning or say Gorst wants to write a book someday, and it just comes from up in there. I mean, you're going to get a lot more out of that than someone paying somebody to write the book for you.
yeah,
So there really wasn't a lot out there. As far as people sharing secrets, the only way that you would really learn anything back then was by getting in the box and gambling with people.
yeah,
And I was 13, 14 years old. Nobody was going to gamble with a 13-year-old kid, like I had any money. So it was really hard. It was basically through observation, watching other players, seeing what they did, and trying to figure out why they did what they did.
yeah.
I think that's the way we could all learn.
Yeah, I mean, I'll second that. Definitely watching other players, even and especially now with the matchroom events, the way they're all streamed on YouTube.
Oh yeah,
The quality's really good, the production's really good, and it's easy to watch.
oh
It's
yeah.
all set up and geared going the right way. It's very easy to watch. It's easy on the eyes, and there's so many matches you can watch. I mean, they're constantly on throughout the day.
You just keep that
And
white
you,
belt that white belt mentality
yeah,
of where every day when you show up, you're there to learn something new.
yeah,
I think that's very important.
yeah,
Is to remain a student of the game. You're going to get good if you stick at it. You're going to get good. That's if you do the things you're supposed to do and play the players you're supposed to play in the events that you're supposed to play in. You're going to get good. You're going to ascend up that ladder.
yeah,
Just don't forget where you came from, and be willing to give back to the game. I
yeah.
think that's important as well.
Yeah, one of the things I was like, say, okay, I asked you a while back, then I came over to can you? I want to improve my mental game. I want to get to where I was with my game years ago, and take it even further. And one of the questions I came to you with and asked you specifically is, I said, look, I know I'm pretty good. I can play to a good level, and I think I can beat these top people. But when I'm playing these top people, and I know a lot of other people out there will probably think this as well, I'm playing I don't know, the Darren Appletons, the Francisco Sanchez Ruiz, and all them sort of people, I don't feel worthy enough to beat an opponent like that, because
Mm-hmm.
why would I be expected to beat an opponent like that? And I think sometimes you can fall into that trap of
Oh yeah.
defeating yourself in that way. Oh well, they're the best players in the world. They're really good. I mean, I'm not worthy enough to beat them sort of people. What it was trying to get over that hurdle, and I can't remember what you told me, to be honest. But
I,
whatever it did, it must have
I
worked.
remember exactly what I told you. Okay.
What was it?
Everybody's
It
equal.
must have worked, because I'm feeling a bit better
Everybody
about
is equal when they sit in that chair. Okay. When you're sitting in that chair, I don't care if it's you, Efren Reyes, Niels Fyan, I don't care who it is. If you're sitting in that chair and I'm shooting, you have no control over what's happening.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got a friend of mine. His name's Mike Rosso. He's a pool player from Dallas, Texas. And he's got a saying. He says, never leave the table on a miss. Okay. Never leave the table or give the table to your opponent on a miss. Okay. You either play safe, okay, but you never want to miss and give the table back to your opponent. And I think it's one of the wisest things I've ever heard in regards to playing pool. But when I don't care who it is sitting in the chair, they're just as powerless as you are when you're sitting in the chair, and we're equal.
And they're human. They're still human.
The opportunities are going to be there for my opponent. The opportunities are going to be there for me. And it's up to me to recognize those opportunities and take advantage of each and every one of them. Now, you're going to have matches where you do everything you're supposed to. You take advantage of all of your opportunities, and you're still going to lose those matches. And you know why that is? Because it's pool.
Because pool sucks.
And I'll take this from The Color of Money. The balls roll funny for everybody. Okay.
Yeah, definitely do. I mean, it's such a good. But I think another thing I've learned to sort of accept as well, to help me with this, is the fact that obviously what you were just saying there about, when you're at the table, it's your table. The opponent can't do anything. They're just sitting there. Maybe shark you in the corner or something. I don't know. But the point is, they're not at the table. You're in control. But when they are at the table, one of the things I've always learned is that you should never give up on a match now. And you've seen this probably millions of times. I have, whereas you give the table over for whatever reason. They could be on a run out to take the match, or a significant frame maybe in the match. And how many times you see people miss the easiest shot? Because I've seen it last week, in a tournament. 8-ball, simple, rolling in the corner. It's hit it bad, and it's jawed over the pocket. And I'm like,
Albin's scratching on the break, hill.
Well, what about Shane Van Bonen's one on the other week in the Hanoi Open? No, when he screwed around, he stunned it in and come off 2 cushions.
Oh
and went
yeah,
in the
I saw
pocket.
that. Yeah.
Why did he do that? But the point is, these things happen. I mean, if you were his opponent sitting in the chair, you're thinking, oh, this match is over. There's no way I'm coming back here. And then what does he do? Tries to, I don't know, give it a bit of a whirldy around the cushions. And maybe he was feeling a bit nervous. Maybe sometimes when people are a bit nervous, they do hit it a bit harder, because they the slower they put the cue through, sometimes it might. And I feel that, if I roll a ball slow, I feel I've got more of a chance for my arm to wobble either side maybe and take the cue offline. So I do like to hit them firmer where possible, unless you can't help it, of course. And I think that helps me to keep it straight. But I don't know. But it just proves the point that things can happen even in the most unexpected circumstances.
If your opponent's shooting at the table, the one of the things and one of the tricks that I used when I was playing my absolute best, I would sit in the chair and I would just look at the speed of my opponent's stroke. And I look at the speed of his shaft. I look at the speed of everything that he was doing, seeing how the ball was coming off of the rails. And what it did is, when I focused on that, it kept my mind fresh. Okay. If the mind's fresh, the body was going to follow how the mind is. Okay. If the body's tense and the mind is tense, everything that you try to do is going to be tense. So if you go back to the chair and decide you're going to mentally or physically self-destruct, you're probably not going to do so good if your opponent misses an easy shot and you have to come up and get back to the table.
Yeah, and we see that loads of times.
I've had top 5, guys that are top 5 in the world miss shots that I never thought they were going to miss while they were playing me. Okay, I've done it myself, playing people that are just wondering what it's like to play a pro player in a weekly local tournament here. And anybody can beat anybody if the opportunity exists. Anybody can come up a winner. Anybody can come up a loser, and I think that's what makes it so exciting. That's pool.
Yeah, I mean, it is a confidence game as well. I mean, of course, if you're playing well and you radiating that confidence across the table, you're potting balls, everything seems to be going right for you. It is difficult if you sat in the chair watching all this happen, and and you get that mindset, nothing's going right for me ever. It's always the same. I don't know why I bothered coming to this tournament. You hear it, you see it. Sometimes it's difficult to get out of that mindset as well. It's that self-defeating attitude, the mindset, but I mean, what would you say to people stuck in that mindset sometimes, you think, if you were coaching them in the corner?
Well, it's one shot sometimes it's one shot at a time. Okay. Just because, somebody's running out and playing lights out doesn't mean that they're just going to run all over you. I've got several video examples that I show some of my students. There's a match with Kim Davenport against Johnny Archer. The match was like 25 years ago. Johnny, I think, gets to the hill, and Kim Davenport comes back from like 10-4 down to win the match. It's the most amazing comeback you'll ever want to see. Tony Crosby, who we were talking about, he defeated Efren Reyes. I think it was a 2008 World Championships.
I think I remember this, actually.
Yeah. You want to see Efren miss shots like he's in like he's a beginning league player? Watch that match. It happens to everybody. If everybody was able to win just because of what their name was on the flow chart, I probably would have never won a match ever. But like I said, when I was out there, a lot of times on paper the matches looked like I didn't have a chance, and because I stuck with it, I got through some really, really tough matches against some really great players. And then the opposite is true. First time I played David Al-Qaidi, I remember I was there, and I had asked Rodney Morris. I said, I got to play this guy from Spain. And he goes, they only have pockets on the tables in Spain, right? Yeah, right. And that guy, he drilled me for that set, and it was the coming out party for him. I got to be one of his very first victims out there. But you have to understand that there's no constants in pool. There's nothing constant. You're not always going to win. You're not always going to lose. It's always best to maintain the attitude of I'm awaiting that next opportunity. You have to. You have to. He's going to miss. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, John Schmidt broke Willie Mosconi's high run record in straight pool that stood for like 40 years, 40, 50 years. And what did he do to end that run? He missed. Okay. We all miss. Okay. Yeah. None of us are perfect. None of us are going to go out there and run 9 racks all the time. I've seen guys do it, but you're not going to do that every single time. So be prepared, be in the chair. Even if you're down, if you're a race to 9 and you're down 6-0, I've been up 6-0 and lost matches.
I've been up 9-0 and lost 10-9.
There you go. And we all have stories like that. Okay. Yeah. Be that guy that comes back.
Well, the way I always look at that, if you get a match, and we've all been there, we're like 5
Oh
nil
yeah,
behind, 4 nil, 6 nil behind. I always say to myself in them situations, well, if your opponents managed to win 5 or 6 games in a row, why there's no reason why you can't do the same. If you think of it like that, I mean, they've done it. Why can't you do it? I know it's
yeah,
difficult, but it's plausible, isn't it?
yeah.
We can
I was
all.
in a UPA tour back in 2005. I was playing Frank Alvarez. I was up 6-0. After the match, Torsten Holman asked me, he said, "Well, how did you do?" He says, "You were really playing well." I said, "I lost." He says, "You were up 7-1." But I said, "Yeah, it was a race to 10." And yes, it's not even that I fell apart. It's just I never really got an opportunity. I really never had a clear shot.
Yeah.
He played safe so well and hit that cue ball. I was shooting it every time I came to the table. It felt like I was shooting at rails, and what are you going to do? You go up and shake the man's hand. It's like, wow, what a comeback.
Yeah. And we've all had
He
them
has a
games.
completely different story than what I have.
I mean, we've all had that. Sometimes you just don't seem to get a look in. Nothing goes right. Every time you're at the table, like say you're hidden behind a ball. You got to come off a cushion to get out of something or do a jump shot. But it can be so frustrating. This is just cue sports in general, isn't it? I mean, look, it's frustrating sometimes when you're in them positions, but as I keep saying, if you can get on top of the mental side of the game and
Yeah.
accept the fact that this thing can and does happen and will happen and keep happening sometime, you've just got to try and pick yourself up and just wait for that next game or that next tournament
Yeah.
and improve.
Frustration is your mind on emotional overload. Okay. That's what frustration is. Frustration and anger are two completely different things. Frustration, like I said, it's emotional overload. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's like we have no coping mechanisms other than and what comes with frustration?
Broken cues.
Anger. I was told a long time ago by a wise person that anger is just fear turned inside out. Okay. If you're angry at something, it's fear-based. Doesn't matter what it is. And if you're scared of something, 99.99% of everything that you're scared of is up here. It hasn't even happened yet. You're just imagining what could
you're
go
right.
wrong.
Yeah.
And if you allow, all that stuff to take free rent in your head, sooner or later you're going to explode like a powder keg. And we've all seen players, no names, that do that.
Yeah.
But that's where, when I say that writing was therapeutic for me, I got all that stuff out of my head and I put it on paper.
Yeah. It's great. You like say these random thoughts, and obviously the books you've written over the years, and we've all been there. When we've been on a shot, and I mean probably yourself included. You're down on a shot, and there's nothing worse than thinking to yourself, I'm not going to make this shot when you're down on the shot.
That's when you stand back up, start doing some laps around the table, start all over again.
We've all been there, and you come down it again, and you still think you're not going to get. But it happens, and it's that confidence thing again, and the self doubt, and just trying to eliminate these sort of things in your game, and have that mindset to to take your game further forward. And I keep saying on these things, I'm all for people that have worked on the game, improve the game, and there's a lot of people I know that are doing this and have done this where they've been fairly new to American pool, they're working on the game really hard, and they're getting some good results now. And I think that's great because fair play to them if they're putting the time in to learn the game, not just expecting the game to come to them and take these tournaments down. Fair play if they're getting the results now.
I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and we were talking about how to prepare to win and how to do all this, and I basically told him, most of the players that I talk to, the great players that I know, and the guys that I talk to, they just get out there and they play. Play until it's comfortable. I remember when I was playing all the time, I was very comfortable playing in a pool match. was very comfortable. That was where I was the most comfortable.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we should all strive for.
Mm.
Okay. That's when I was the most successful, is when I would show up and I said, okay, this is what I do. This is what I'm the best at. And I'm getting ready to show everybody that this is the best thing that I do. And, to get there, I have a video on this that I'll share with you, and then you can share it with your viewers.
Yeah. I'll put it on the thing.
It's called the committee meeting, and we all have a committee meeting going on up in our heads, and it's a coaching staff. Okay. And a large majority of us would get a lot further if we fired some of those voices that we have up in our heads telling us that you're going to miss that shot. Okay. You missed that shot. You suck. All these voices that you have, get rid of these voices and hire some voices in your head that tell you all the right things, because we all have.
I'll hire your voice in my, you can get a Bluetooth on me when I'm playing.
My voice is not soothing to me at all. Okay. Mine was, I would try to have Buddy Hall's voice going through my head, just, get in line and, don't get caught behind anything. That's one of the stuff.
I mean, we've all got to have something like that, when we're playing, we're down on a shot and you cue into ready to strike the ball. I think one of my things that I do, I'm cueing the ball. Now, people sometimes they'll backstroke 2 times, 3 times, and then they'll shoot. For me, I don't care how many backstrokes I do. I can do as many as I want, But when I'm ready to take the shot, I'll actually hold my breath.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but I do it, and then I'll shoot the ball. Prior to shooting the ball, I mean, I'll be doing it as many times as I want, but when I'm ready to shoot the ball, I'll probably do it 3 times and then shoot. But on them 3 times, I'm probably holding my breath. I'll breathe in and hold my breath and then shoot. And I think that helps for me. That's something that works for me. Whether anybody else does that, don't know.
For me, locking in on the shot, locking in on it to where I know it's going in the hole.
And
I have to remain locked on it. A lot of people, they'll lock in on the ball. Then they'll look over here, they'll look over there, they'll chalk their cue, and then they don't lock in on the ball, and they wonder why they miss it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lock in on the ball, get down, stay locked in. Only go through the cue ball when you know that ball's going in the hole.
Yeah.
Sounds simple enough. It's the hardest thing to learn.
It's that pre-shot routine, of course. The classic,
it's different for everybody.
Everybody's different, of course. What works for you might not work for anybody else in the world, but
that's okay.
If it works for you, it works for you. And it works for me so much so. I played a tournament the other week, and the first game, I don't know what it was, but whether I was tired or something, or I don't know, but I was on a 9-ball first frame. I potted it, but it was a 9-ball on the spot. The white was in the middle of the table. It was a quarter ball shot into either one of the corner pockets. And I'm down on the shot and I'm looking at the 9-ball and there's like a blur all the way around the 9-ball. I'm thinking, what's going on here? I must have been tired or something. I don't know. Or I don't know what it was, but I potted it. But I did think to myself, I'm not going to pot this, but I still potted it because I think I relied on my technique and just doing what I do, and I think that helps. You've got to have something to consistently get yourself into the zone, or whatever I like to call it.
For me, it was
zone.
Walking around the table. It was walking around the table and seeing
and
it from every angle.
You say this in the video, of course, and the one I've seen. You've got to get your brain into that mindset to unlock your pre-shot route to be ready for the shot. And I think you remember you saying, didn't you say you counted your steps or something as you're walking around the table or something like that? Was it?
I couldn't hear you. Were kind of garbled.
So you said you counted your steps as you walked around the table, I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And what that did, anything that you can invent. Okay, these brains that we were given, okay, are negative excuse factories. Okay, and I didn't want anything to come in and distract me from what my major purpose was. What am I there for? I'm there to pocket balls, win games, win matches, and disappoint people. And I need to be positive. I don't need that negative voice inside my head to screw things up. So one of the things that I would do, number one, is I would have Jolly Ranchers. I'd have a Jolly Rancher in my mouth, and I bite down on it anytime I wanted to cuss at the cue ball, the table, or the pockets, or anything like that. And the other thing I did is I would count my steps as I went around the table, and that kept me from thinking negative thoughts like, oh, I can't do this, or I'm going to miss a shot, okay? Or I'm going to I'm not going to be able to bank this ball, okay? And as I'm walking around the table, I'm doing all of the opposite of the negative comments, okay? This ball's going to go right into the hole, okay? It's going straight in, okay? I win. I know I win. That's another one. It's going to be different for every situation. You're going to have some matches, some situations where I don't care how positive you are, stuff's going to go wrong for you. And that's just cool. That's
one of the
cool.
other little sayings that I know you say, I've seen one of my favorite ones, is winners stick with winners.
Winners stick with winners, and the losers don't understand the winners. They don't.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
That's true.
Yeah,
it's very true.
Further from the truth, that one. And another one.
I hang around with winners when I go to pool tournaments.
Yeah,
that's what I do.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, and you see it all the time, don't you? And the other one I like as well. I mean, when you're at a tournament, for example, it was you can be the nicest guy off the table around the tournament and everything else, but when you're on that table playing that match, that's all to the side, and you're there to win that match. That's it, isn't it?
I want you to trip, lose an eye, do anything except run out on me. Okay. Anything. Okay. After the match, I'll shake your hand. I'll even buy your lunch or dinner. Okay. But while we're on the table, hey, may the best man win. Or women. I've been beaten by women, and there's no shame in that. There's no shame. Some great female players out there. I work with a lot of female players as well.
Well, we had one on a couple of weeks ago.
I think they're more dedicated than the men, actually.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I said we had one on a couple of weeks ago. We had Alison Fisher on a few weeks back. Really nice. And she's played well. She done well in that tournament.
She did. She did.
Yeah, she's done really well in that. So to be competing at her age, I mean, it's just great. To be able to. I'm hoping I'll be able to still play in some of these tournaments when I'm that sort of age.
Like Grandpa Mika, he's playing well too.
He's coming back again a bit now, isn't he? There's quite a bit of Ralph. I mean, look, Ralph Suke as well. He's knocking on the door of maybe having the Moscone Cup place again. Maybe, I don't know. He's been playing maybe a wild card pick. Who knows? We'll have to wait.
Ralph and I have known each other since we both had hair.
Hair today, gone tomorrow, isn't it? Why do you think I've got this hat on?
Huh?
Why do you think I got this hat on? I'm going bald. Maybe I've got a few more years left, I think, but
it happens. It's you'll see how much you care, and when you're my age, you really just don't. Really. I mean,
it's just
and I think I'm 2-3 years older than Ralph. So the fact that he's still playing and playing at this level, getting out there and competing, is absolutely amazing.
I get the impression he's working a lot on his game as well. He must be to still be playing well in these events. Yeah. He must be. Maybe it's the Matchroom resurgence in the game that's pushed a lot of these players to to knuckle down on the game and really make a go of it, which is great.
He loves pool. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I've sat and talked with him for hours about pool, and he just loves pool. He loves it.
And again, he's a really nice, humble person as well, isn't he, Ralph?
He's very quiet, very reserved guy. When you get to know him, he's just a solid person. Yeah, really good guy.
Yeah,
really good guy. I'm happy anytime I see he says, "Oh, I finished in the top 32, didn't play well." I was like, "Hey, getting out there and playing." against people that are, 1/3 your age. I mean, my gosh, that's incredible. That's
Yeah.
incredible to be able to get through the bracket. So, and
It's
there's a lot
so
of guys
hard, isn't
getting
it?
up there too. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, there's quite a lot of players I think now that are, fairly senior players that are starting
yeah,
to find that form again. Get that
yeah.
kick
Um,
into action and start taking down, some serious events and or going deep in them to the very least. And we've seen that. I mean, how old Shane Van Bonen now? I mean, he's got to be. He's not like senior. He's not, but he's getting on, isn't he? Of course,
he's in his 40s. I know that.
Well, I'm
I
the
met,
same as well. Yeah.
yeah, when I met him in 2005, I believe he was. See, that was 18 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was still a teenager then. So I'm
Mm,
pretty sure he's 40 though, 40, 41, something like that.
yeah. I mean, it's great if you can be playing at that age and still continue for the next 10, 15 years. I mean, look at Efren. He's still able to
Yeah,
play.
yeah,
In Francisco Bustamante,
yeah.
these guys can still all play. They just
There's a
choose
lot of
not
guys
to.
that are coming out. Rodney Morris is still
Yeah.
playing.
Well, I mean, what's he
Um,
doing these days? I mean, I haven't heard of him for a long time. I mean, is he just life taken over for him, or is he
I
just? I don't know.
guess. I guess. I mean, he's always he's one of the most positive people you ever want to talk to. You know?
Yeah.
And you have Niels Fyan, who's teaching and still playing,
Mm.
um, and he's getting older.
He's
And
getting some good results again though himself.
oh, he's
Another white
incredible,
player. Yeah.
incredible. And there's so many players that are out there today um, that know much more than I ever can imagine. I tell everybody, yeah, I'm not the person that knows the most about anything. I talk to CJ Wiley and my jaw drops at the knowledge that he has. Um, he's like a walking encyclopedia, and I feel the same way about Niels.
Yeah.
Niels is so gifted as a communicator as well. If anybody hasn't seen Niels Fyan's YouTube channel,
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
highly
He's great.
recommend it.
Yeah.
Oh, he's incredible. And to have access to a multi-time, multi-discipline world champion, my goodness. People say, "Are you?" They asked me last year, "Are you sure you want to retire?" I said, "I think pool's in good hands." And I pointed to people like Anthony Beeler and Niels Fyan, CJ Wiley. So I can just kind of sit back, kick my feet up, watch baseball, and do nothing. I could go golf badly if I get the
I
urge
can do.
to.
I can certainly do golf badly as well. I haven't played for a long time, but I can certainly do it badly. But it's important, like I say, to have these other things aside of playing the
Yeah.
game. Life
And the other
isn't
important
just
thing is
pool, is
I
it?
knew when to stop. Okay,
Mm,
I knew when to stop so that when this point in my life happens, that I'm well taken care of.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and pool didn't make that possible for me. uh, it was other stuff. It was making good decisions away from the table. Okay,
yeah,
I think that's important
definitely.
because if your life's not in order, your game's not going to be in order.
Yeah, and we've seen that.
Really.
We've all seen that. We know a player
Oh
we
yeah.
know that they might not be having the greatest go at things in life for whatever reason, and it does affect the game, no doubt about it.
Oh yeah.
Of course it
Yeah.
does.
I mean, you have your exceptions. Alex Higgins would be an exception.
Mm,
Earl would be an exception. But for the most part, if things aren't going well in our lives, it's going to you're going to see it out there on the table as well.
yeah, without a
So,
doubt, definitely.
it's just uh, it's just so important to take care of family, take care of education, get that out of the way, have something to fall back on. Uh, and if you don't end up being number one in the world, that's okay.
Mm,
Okay,
yeah,
it's okay.
yeah.
You could still brag about how high up that list you got. So
It's tough. I mean, for even with Matchroom and all these other events go, and the prize money is getting better, which is great. But I think even at that, the problem for a lot of players, especially UK top players, is the fact that it's costing a lot of money to go around these tournaments. And if they're only making the last 64, the last 32, the last 16s, it's difficult for some of them to justify the expenses without having a firm sort of sponsor in place. And it's difficult to get sort of sponsorship, I think, for a lot of these players, unless they maybe make a final on one of these tournaments, and then they get that off the recognition off the back of that, and the sponsorship then comes. But it's difficult. I mean, I was talking to one of my friends about it last week, and for some people, I mean, you're better off just having a job and then enjoying these tournaments while you can get them and playing them. But just have a job. You know, again, they probably earn more money, but you don't get the enjoyment. Maybe, I don't know, but yeah.
Because I was playing the best that I had ever had. I had cashed in every tournament that I played in 1994. I cashed in some of the smaller tournaments, not the major ones, but the smaller tournaments. I won, or I was either won or I was in the top 4 of the money of every tournament that I played in.
Yeah.
And when it came time to look and see how much I spent to be out there and how much I actually made, I was in the red by a lot. And you know, that there was a writing on the wall. And for me, I look at the prize money today, and it's exactly the same as it was in 1993. I see no difference there. And unless you don't want to travel to Vietnam, you want to travel here, and who can do that? I have trouble getting. I live in Horizon City. I have trouble getting in and out of El Paso on a daily basis, right? So I'm not going to travel to Hanoi or these distant places all over the globe.
Yeah.
I did that at one time, and like I said, I came out of it far in the red. And you know, you have to make some good life decisions, and you have to make the choices that are right for you. You know, there's a couple of top players that I talk to almost every day. They're sponsored. They're well taken care of. They get to travel the world and do all that stuff. I wish I knew how, and I don't ask. You know, but whenever I see that, I'm really happy for them to get those experiences.
Yeah.
You only go around this game of life once. You know, you only get to go around once. Enjoy the hell out of it. You know, and I think I told you this when we talked that night. I've been around the world 3 times, and all I saw was the inside of tournament venues. You know,
and smoky rooms.
Yeah. To include a trip over to the United Arab Emirates, courtesy of Sheikh Doug.
Yeah.
And I showed up, and it was a snooker thing, and I was a pool player, so I got a free trip there.
Did you play in it? Or did you play or anything?
No, I didn't. But boy, they treated me like I was the Prince of Pool or something, you know. But you know, I say that because you know what, I didn't get to see a lot except for the inside of venues. So when I'm talking to somebody, like I'm pretty close with John Mora, and I'll tell John, he'll be somewhere, and I said, well, try to go and see this and try to go and see that. You know, don't just sit there and stay inside the tournament venue. Get out there and see everything, because you'll sit back someday and wonder why you didn't. And I did that a lot when I was out there. You know, tried to go out and see everything. I told you that's how I ran into Ray Reardon.
Yeah, I remember you saying about that one.
I was just out and around, and I couldn't believe it was actually him. And and what a nice guy, what a nice person, what an influence. Okay, on that game. You know, he's 1 in a million. You know. But that's why I tell pool players, you know what, live your life off the table as hard as you live your life on the table. Put as much effort into your relationships. Put as much much hard work into your education and everything else. Trust me, you will not be sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. I know a lot of guys that I was out there on the pro tour with back in the late 80s, early 90s, and it's not a pretty picture. It's not a pretty picture.
Yeah.
And I'm one of the lucky ones. I'm one of the smart ones that said, you know what, I'm not making a lot of money at this. I'm not the best, but I'm not the worst. I kind of fit somewhere in the middle. But you know what? I think I might want to look into something else. So I became a police officer, ran my pool hall, started writing books. Um, and that's where I found my niche. And I think I enjoyed writing about pool just as much as I enjoyed playing pool.
Yeah, and like you say, I mean,
Not the way I planned
you've got that now, and going back on all these things you were saying, you've got all these random thoughts and all these other little bits and pieces that you can still have something from the game, even though you're not necessarily playing it, of course, for you're saying for your health reason. Are you fully retired from everything now, David, or do you still do
everything.
everything?
Everything. I wake up. I still wake up every day at 4:30. I'm up. So, but yeah, I completely retired last year. Shut down the websites. No longer there. It's great. It's a great feeling. But I'm still writing, and I've got some books that I'm kind of thinking of updating some of my books here in the future.
Where can people get hold of this material at the moment? Have you got, if they want to say,
The only book I have that's for sale right now is my 9-ball book, which is it's called Lessons in 9-ball.
Yeah.
It's on lulu.com. It's available in ebook form, PDF.
Yeah.
Or you can get the hard copy. You can get it in spiral bound, or you can get the hardcover. And that book's there. But the other ones that are not for sale right now, one's on the mental game. It's called The Growling Point.
I like the sound of that. The Growling Point.
Yeah. And I'm in the process of rewriting that one. And then I got my straight pool book, straight pool for crooked strokes. And I'm pulling the trigger on that one. I wrote that book about 15 years ago. No, probably longer than that. Back in 2007. And somehow I gave it to a pro player who took it over to Europe, and somebody stole his whole notebook. And next thing you know, my pieces of my straight pool book were all over the internet for a while. So I never released that. It was kind of ticked me off. And I've got a couple of other things that I plan on doing over the next 5 years. And it's just the natural progression of who I am, and there is a life after, I can no longer physically play, but I still have all my knowledge up here. And, like a friend of mine told me, he said, it would be a travesty if I didn't share all of it. So I'm going to try to do just that. Try to put up some more videos. Hopefully
that'd be good. Actually,
I look nothing like I did when I made all those videos, but I think they'll accept demented Santa Claus version of me. So
notice you got the beard on the grow, ready for Christmas coming up.
Oh yeah. But I lost weight, so I can't do Santa. So
you get a few pillows up your top, maybe. I don't know.
A few pillows, yeah. I guess it'll work.
Yeah, no, it's great to be able to have all these sort of things, off the table, that you're helping still to help people with their game, videos.
Yeah. And a lot of that is due to making relationships.
Yeah.
Having good relationships.
And you never know what's around the corner. You never know. I mean, what opportunities could come along? What doors could open? You just don't know. And
network with I tell everybody, network with everybody.
Yeah.
Exactly. Someone said, well, this guy, he's got nothing to do with pool, right? Well, what does he do? Well, he's a publisher. Well, I'm a writer.
Yeah.
So I'm going to network with them.
Yeah.
And I've got a million stories like that, where if you're in a room, okay, and you see everybody talking to that one person and you don't know them, it's on you to go over and introduce yourself.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're at a pool tournament, if or whatnot. Establish good relationships with people.
Yeah, definitely.
From the table as well.
It goes a long way.
Pool has so many different people that play this game worldwide. My education is in sports psychology. How did I get there? Well, I found a pool player that was already doing sports psychology. And I said, well, how did you get a degree in that? And how can I get one? You know? And here, this guy, I was giving him free lessons in pool, and he was giving me free lessons on how to take my life where I wanted it to go.
Yeah.
And that's how the world works.
Yeah.
And never underestimate anybody, you know. And that guy, he couldn't win a local tournament. He couldn't win a match at a local tournament. Okay, when I started, you know, and here I was playing on the pro tour, but he had something I wanted. He had something I wanted.
Yeah.
And I had something he wanted. So we made it work.
Yeah.
And that's what the world's about.
Yeah. I mean, I've always got a good saying I like to go by, and I don't know if you've ever heard of this one, but I like to, it pays to be nice. And it does.
Oh, yeah.
And it does, really, if you think about it. I mean, if you can, you know, be nice. I know it's easier said than done sometimes, but it doesn't hurt, and there's nothing wrong with that, you know. And opportunities do come.
I was always taught very early in my pool career never to take myself, and no matter how good you get at this game, never take yourself too seriously. Never. Okay. Anybody that's ever seen me with Tommy Kennedy at a pool tournament, okay, and the way him and I goof around, and there's a group of us that do it, not just me and Tommy, okay, we do that because we were taught not to take this game so seriously.
Yeah.
Keep a loose atmosphere, keep a good sense of humor, okay? You never know when it's your last tournament. You never know.
Yeah.
Okay? And love everybody. Like you said, it always pays to be nice. Okay? Love everybody.
Yeah.
Okay? Doesn't matter what their politics are, who they voted for, love everybody equally.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Leave all that stuff. None of that. When you strip everybody down, none of that matters. You know, we're all people. Okay? We all have a good heart. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's your worst enemy. They've got a good heart. You just have to learn how to find it and uncover it. And that's my message. You know, I always try to keep a hold of that, not to take myself too seriously. I'm not a big deal. You know, Tommy Kennedy won a U.S. Open 30-something years ago. He's not a big deal. It's not big at all, actually. He's only about that tall, but he's got a big heart. The heart as big as all outdoors.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And that's what we do. That's you'll see it on Facebook. We've been doing that. We've been doing that shtick for over 30 years, going back and forth. And it's just to keep it lighthearted, to keep it fun.
Yeah. And it definitely helps. You know, you can't be too serious. I love having a bit of a laugh and a joke about things, you know, off the table. It helps, definitely does. Pays to be nice. I mean, manners don't cost anything either. That's another one I like to say, which they don't really, do they? But yeah, I mean, I know it's difficult sometimes for people to understand and appreciate these, but yeah. You know, it will make you a better player overall. Yeah.
If you see somebody without a smile on their face, give them one of yours. You know, that's another one. You know, you never know. You never know what that other person's going through.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You never know, and you know it's like I said. You only go around. You only get one go around. You only get one go around, and make it count. Make it count, and inspire people, affect people's lives. You know, if you're a good player, share that.
Yeah.
All the good players out there, if you're a good player, share that. You'll never regret it.
Yeah.
Ever.
Definitely.
You know?
One of the things I was going to touch upon as well, I know the last time we spoke, and I didn't realize this actually, but it was about the color of money. Now, you mentioned it earlier, you said about the color of money, but you were actually on the set of the color of money on the famous Werewolves of London scene when Mazel's playing Tom Cruise, of course. Yeah. Just remind me that, were you in the background, I think, do you say?
That was a blur. That was one of those blur ghosts.
As the camera's going around.
Blurred everything in the background out, and the camera's going around as he's spinning the cue around. And that went on for that. They shot that scene for about 7.5 hours. Okay. So by the time the time they were done, you had heard that song in your head so many times.
Were they playing the song in the background then?
They were,
I
yeah,
didn't realise
and
whether
it
they
was
just added it on over the top after.
they did, but yeah, they still had the music going on because he was lip syncing to it and all that, and I mean, it went on forever. You know, and they did it. They filmed that scene probably from as many angles as probably from all 360 different
There's a
angles.
bit of bad editing
And
going on as well in it, because some of them balls Tom
yeah,
Cruise pots aren't in the same
yeah.
place.
It was an experience. I was a kid at the time. I was only about 20, 21 years old. And the only reason I was there was because um, was a chance to get in the movie. Okay. Yeah, I'm in there, but you're not going to, I can't even pick me out if I look at it now. But I can pick out other people. I remember what they look like, you know. But one of the stories I have to go with that is the cue that Moselle's using. Okay.
Yeah, I remember you saying about this.
His name is Bruce Young. Bruce A. Young is the acting name. And he's a bigger guy, and he needed a longer cue. And I had a 60-inch cue that I had specially made, and I gave it to him, and I still have that cue from the movie. It's still in my
you borrowed
case.
him that cue, didn't you, for that scene? I think.
I let him use it, and he used it in that scene, and the rest is history. And I had some clown coming on AZ Billiards a few years ago, said that his uncle was the props director for The Color of Money, and he had all this stuff from The Color of Money, and one of them was Moselle's cue, and I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? But yeah, I've still got that cue, and that's the only story I really have about that. I was there for most of the filming there in Chicago, which is where a lot of the scenes for the tournament. A lot of the stuff was at Chris's Billiards, which is still in Chicago.
Yeah.
And the scene with Otis, that place is no longer there. It's a Subway.
What, sandwiches? Yeah. Subway sandwiches, or a Subway, is in like an underground Subway.
But yeah, that's a movie. I hope they do a sequel to The Color of Money. I think it'd be a good sequel.
We'll have to wait and see, I guess, about that one. But yeah, I mean, I watched a YouTube video of the making of that scene of The Color of Money. I think it was on YouTube, but it was great. You see the rail track they had all around the table because they had to push the camera all the way around on it to get the right angles and the spinning around.
It was a mess. That whole room, it was crazy.
I bet there's wires everywhere.
Yeah, and I'd never been on a movie set, and I didn't know how to act, and I just sat there and kept my mouth shut through most of it. And I was there with Louis Roberts, and Louis Roberts, he was doing everything, man, just to get into the movie, and anywhere he could find a way to slip himself in there, he did it. So. I wasn't that bold back then, so
yeah. Well, it's a great film. I watched it the other day. Actually, I haven't seen it for a while again, but I watched it the other day. Yeah, great film. And of course, The Hustler as well, predating that one, is another classic. Really good.
Love that movie.
Really good film again. But obviously, I know we're getting on a bit here. I don't want to keep you too much longer. But one of the other things I was going to ask you, and I asked you this actually on Facebook the other day. I just thought to myself, well, it made me laugh when I heard this, but I said to you, I said, what's the best you must have heard a few over your time, but what's the best excuse you've ever heard for someone losing a game or missing a shot or anything like that? And you're going to have to tell everyone, because I've never heard this, but it was bizarre. I mean, is it really a legitimate thing you heard?
The pocket moved. I got that one from Jim Rempe.
Oh, was it Jim?
The pocket moved.
What? I mean, I can't even comprehend what he's getting at, to be honest. I've got some good excuses myself, but I've never heard of that one before. The carpet's the wrong color, the light.
When you asked me that was the first one I thought of.
I mean, wow, the pocket moved. Was that as he was striking the ball, or was it something else? I don't know.
I think somebody else missed, and that's what he said to him. The pocket moved.
Well, I mean,
but there's a million of them, and it all comes down to, like I said, that internal dialogue.
Yeah.
you got to shut it off, or hire some voices that actually encourage you uh, to to say the right things, because if when you miss a shot, or miss position, or anything goes wrong at the table, the number one thing that, if you're going to say anything, okay, which I recommend saying nothing, but if you are going to say something, that statement needs to begin with the word I, so that you accept personal responsibility for the mistake. Because if you don't accept responsibility for missing shots and missing position, scratching on the break, or you're going to be what I call a finger pointer, blamer. The blame game never ends. It never does. So if you're going to say anything, start your sentence with the word I. I missed that shot. I should have took my time.
I need to stop moaning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that, when you started with the statement I, you're owning it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did not do what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
That's why I missed a shot.
Yeah.
And if I do what I'm supposed to do, okay, I'm going to make balls. And I'm going to win matches. I'm going to disappoint people.
Yeah.
But if I'm not doing any of that, none of that's going to happen.
Yeah. No, it's brilliant. Well,
it always goes back to that mission statement.
Yeah, and it's great, that little word, those little words of wisdom, and obviously that's one of them. And I did this, I did that, I put the ball in the pocket, I scratched, everything could begin with that when you think about it. And until
I tell people, and I've told you this, the first time I got famous as a pool player was because I was a cue smasher. I was in the middle of a tournament. Louis Roberts had given me one of his Miucci cues.
I've got a Miucci cue, actually.
Miucci cue. And I couldn't make a ball with that thing. Seriously, I couldn't make two balls in a row. And I missed a shot, and I picked that. I still remember. I picked that thing up and smashed it over the corner pocket of the table that me and my opponent were playing on. It stopped about 6-7 matches around our table. I got kicked out of the tournament, and that's how I became a famous pool player the first time.
Wow. Was it the Miucci shaft? Yeah. Was it the Miucci shaft that you had on the cue at the time?
I have no idea. It was probably me. It was me.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah. Well, you're going back to the eye thing again here. But no.
Yeah. It was me.
I have a Miucci cue. But, yeah.
Yeah. It was up here, okay? And I'll tell you something. Now people from all over the world come to me for mental game advice. Okay.
Yeah, go to the guy that breaks
anything. You said before, anything is possible. Anything in this world is possible.
Yeah, definitely. Okay? Definitely.
I went from that guy to being the guy that people come to when they want to learn how to control what's going on up here. And it wasn't the plan. It wasn't not the way I would have planned things. If I was writing the story, I would have been the Shane Van Boning or the Mike Siegel or the Willie Mosconi. That's what I wanted to be. Okay. What I got was this, and I'm content.
Well, that's great.
I don't have as much pressure as those other guys do. Okay. So
yeah, no.
But anything's possible.
Yeah.
Anything's possible.
Come to the guy for mental game help who breaks his cues.
Hey, we all have to start somewhere.
Yeah,
that's
what,
I'm going to tell you. That's what got me started on learning the mental game.
If you wouldn't have done that, you wouldn't be where you are now. And obviously, we've all got to learn from someone. We've got to learn from a mistake.
I wouldn't have gotten clean and sober. Okay, I did that. It was 1986. It was a summer of 1986, and I didn't get clean and sober until December of that year.
Yeah.
So I not only did that, I drank about it for 6 months, and then I got sober.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm going on 37 years clean and sober, off drugs, off alcohol, off everything.
Well done.
Don't drink, don't smoke, and to be able to do that, you've got to dig in deep, and you've got to do a lot of soul searching. And trust me, I asked God to remove all my shortcomings, and I almost disappeared. Okay, so. But that was the key to it all, and I started learning about the mental game little by little, and started to put it into action, and then I started coming up with my own ideas and how I could explain stuff just that were pool specific.
Yeah,
and towards the end of my career, sports psychology, I was working with athletes of all sports, not just
I remember you were saying, yeah. I mean,
soccer players.
I've never broke a cue before. I broke my foot.
Mm.
I kicked the leg of a snooker table once and broke my toe, I think. Never done that again. That was a lesson, that I learned pretty quickly. But yeah, I mean, you've got to start somewhere. You've got to learn, and we all learn from our mistakes, of course, don't we? If you go in off because you played a shot like this, well, you soon learn not to do it next time, of course. But there's not just lessons on the pool table. Obviously, there's lessons in life all the time. You're learning.
It's I didn't know how to talk to people. I didn't know how to act. If I was to meet one of the top 10 players at that time, go to a tournament, my first inclination of how I should act is arrogant, because I didn't want them to think I was weak, And I was that guy.
Yeah.
And it made me a lot of enemies, and it really wasn't working for me. It's like Dr. Phil always says, "How's it working for you?" Right? It wasn't working for me. And the number one thing was the people I was hanging around and the places that I was hanging around. And when you change your playmates and your playpens, you get yourself clean, you get yourself sober, you start putting your life back together piece by piece. You do change.
Yeah.
You change into something that I never thought I'd be where I'm at today.
Well, everybody finds their own path eventually, of course. It's just sometimes they need a little bit of help along the way to find that path, of course. But everyone usually gets there in the end. And for some, as I say, it is more difficult than others. But that's life, isn't it?
It's part of the game. It's part of everything. It's like I tell people, in the game of pool, you've got to plan and execute. All right, and you have to know your destination. All right. And it's the same thing in life. If you need to take steps in life the same way you would try to run out a rack of 9 ball or a rack of 8 ball. Okay. You've got to know where the white's going. You have to know where you're potting the ball. You have to understand, okay, whether you're drawing, following, or doing a stop shot. It's the same thing in life. I know guys that are wizards on the pool table, and you put them out in life and they can't save 2 nickels,
Yeah.
And that's sad. So if it's the other way around, if you're really, really good at life, more power to you. Pool's okay as a hobby. It's really not that bad as a hobby.
Yeah.
Okay. Just understand what pays the bills. And for me, for a long time, I had a pool hall, and that paid the bills. But you have to understand, as a pool player, it's a tough go out there.
There's
such little money.
Do the pool halls over at stateside tend to do well generally? I mean, in the UK, it's tough. Bars are it's expensive, but they're always putting up the prices because of obviously other reasons. Breweries are all putting their prices. It reflects back on the club. And I think for a lot of people, it probably is very difficult to make ends meet having a club. Is it like that over stateside, or is it just because there's a lot more interest?
They raise your rent. If they come in and you renew your rent and they raise the rent, $1,200. A month, not a year, $1,200 a month. That happened to me. I'm gonna have to make up for it somehow, and I can't charge $6 for a beer. So the only way that I can make up for it is raising table time. And it is what it is, and it's a really tough business. You're in the. I used to tell people, well, it's not so much that I sell pool; I'm selling time. Time on the pool tables, and I've kind of got a limit at how much I can really charge, because I only have a certain amount of tables. So I've got to maximize my square footage, and I need to see how much I can make with each point of my square footage. And sometimes you got to raise the prices, and it's getting even tougher right now. It's a tough world today. I'm glad I'm not in the game.
Well,
it's
did
a really tough
did
go.
you see that club? I think Carl Boys put the video up on his channel about the Hanoi club they went to when they were at the tournament in Vietnam.
Oh yeah,
Did you see the club
oh
there?
yeah,
Must have had about
oh yeah.
50 tables or more, and
That was
it was
crazy.
packed, and they
Yeah,
were queuing up to get on the tables. Wow!
yeah,
I mean, it was
yeah.
amazing, wasn't it?
That was crazy. It's nuts. And you know, I went to Hanoi back in, I think it was 2004 or something. A bunch of us pool players went on this big tour of Japan. We went into Laos and all these little countries, and none of us had ever been to. And pool was just starting there. And now you see some of the players coming out of Vietnam, some of the players that are coming out of all these other countries like Malaysia and everywhere, Singapore. It's crazy to think that these are the people. These are probably the sons of the people that we talked to when we went over there back then. And it just shows that pool, American pool, has a global appeal, a mass appeal globally.
Yeah.
And there's a market for it out there. And, you know, just have to have the right people behind the wheel to market it globally. And I think Matchroom is doing a great, fantastic job of doing that. So
yeah, and they'll continue to you know say not get better. It's probably an unfair way of saying it, but improve on what they're doing and raise the production, the prize money,
yeah,
the whole quality of the events. Of course, we'll just wait and see how it pans out. Now I know a lot
yeah,
of players obviously got a bit of a difficult decision to make with the whole WPA thing. Of course, um,
yeah,
I mean, we'll just have to wait and see what happens with it. There's no point in guessing. We'll just wait and see
yeah,
what players decide to do ultimately, or what the WPA do. I mean, Matchroom aren't
when it
bothered,
comes
really,
to,
are they? I mean, you can play wherever you want. We're not bothered, but obviously the WPA are a little bit the other way, of course. You're either with us
yeah,
or you're not. It's simple as that. But it's a shame. I mean, there's a lot of
yeah,
players.
just go.
Yeah, there's a lot of players that play on the Euro Tour that play on the Matchroom
They
events.
count on the money. Yeah,
And
they count on that
the
money.
Euro tours, they're great events, of course, but people moan about the prize money for that hasn't really developed over the years. It's always been the
Yeah.
same, but maybe the WPA will raise the money on the Euro Tour event.
Quite honestly, if I'm being honest, what keeps pool, or not even pool, snooker, and billiards fall under the WCBS umbrella.
Mm,
And what keeps us out of the Olympics, okay, or even being considered for IOC inclusion is pool in North America. It's shambles. There's no governing. The BCA is basically a trade organization right now. It's not the governing body of pool.
mm,
It hasn't been since I think like 1988. It hasn't been. So it's just been you've got the Wild West out here,
yeah,
and players are always going to gravitate where the money is. If you need that explained to you, go back to 2005 and see what happened with the IPT.
well,
You
I
know,
remember that.
uh,
I remember that. Yeah,
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 I was against the IPT because I supported the WPA and the WCBS, and yeah, and for all the reasons I just explained to you. And pool in North America is not organized. It's not. It's the one thing that's keeping us out of IOC inclusion or IOC having us come into the Olympics. It'd be even a trial game at the Olympics, which I think would be spectacular for all three games.
yeah,
Okay, all three games deserve it. Um, but it's a shambles over here, and we ruin it for the rest of the world.
yeah.
That's it,
Well,
and
we'll wait and see what
that's
happens. I guess that's all we can do. Wait.
I just I understand it from both sides. I understand it from somebody that has worked hard to promote the game, and I understand it from a player's perspective. Um, a player, he needs to go where the money's at, and uh, that's it's a tough decision. It's never going to be easy for either side, ever.
Mm.
So
Well, on that bombshell, I mean, we'll call it a night tonight. I think. I mean, I've had an hour
We
off.
shall.
I've had an hour off of your time. I know you're really busy, of course. That's why it's a fairly ad hoc that I've got you on tonight. I mean, it's a shame Gareth's technology is playing him up because he would have loved to have come on and had a chat as well.
You tell him I said
Oh, I'll
hello.
tell him. I said it. He's crazy. I mean, I don't know if you knew, but he got a bloody virus on his laptop the first time he turned it on. He's not the most technical with PCs and laptops and things like that. So I can only imagine what technical problems he's had today. But I'll catch up with him tomorrow, and then I'll see where he was and what his technology is doing. But no, I'll definitely tell him you said hi, without a doubt. But no, it's been great having you on.
All right.
On just before we go, them books that you're doing, have you got any ETA on the
Sure.
dates or the new videos maybe? And things?
Probably by the end of next year, mid from August. I'm looking at August the 2024.
Yeah.
For two of them.
Yeah.
There's a lot of legal stuff because
Yeah,
they were published before. And I have to. Yeah, that's a nightmare. So probably August, September.
Yeah.
If you follow me on Facebook, that's where you'll find out. Facebook or Instagram.
Yeah.
So
no, brilliant. Well, like I say, it was great to have you on. If you want to send me the link, I'll hang on after I end this in a minute, and I'll get that link off you for the
sure.
the video. I think it was when it
Committee meeting.
the
The
committee meeting. I'll get that in a minute off you in the stream, and then I'll put it on the chat as well. But for everyone watching, no,
Sure.
thanks for coming on again, and we'll catch up with you again.